I listened to a few takes about the Draymond Gobert incident while I was jogging this morning, and I know you guys have heard about 30 different takes on this by now, and I should just leave it alone. I should move on. But I want to try and give a different view on this, see if I can somehow have a refreshing take despite all the other takes out there. So give this a listen. To waste time focusing on Draymond would be foolish and redundant. It's getting to the point where you don't really expect great behavior from the players in general. But it doesn't stop at the players. The bad message being sent to the people at home, I'm particularly worried about the youth, also comes from all the people on the talk shows, analysts. I'm not going to call them analysts anymore. They don't deserve that. And in this case, even Steve Kerr. There's an ongoing theme on my channel about making excuses, and that somehow as long as there's an excuse, it's okay. And this is reflected in society these days. And that's not going to improve when, after you witness questionable behavior, the next day you're hearing people basically condone it. Every now and then it's masked as criticism, but they're really still giving their blessing. We know that this panel is an excuse factory. I don't even need to listen to this. Maybe we'll circle back to them if we have time, but that's sad by itself. I already know what's going to come out of these guys' mouths. Why in the hell is Lil Wayne on here? Damn it. And the fist bump with Skip and Lil Wayne at the beginning, get the fuck out of here with this. How does Lil Wayne have cred? How does Lil Wayne have cred with anyone? With anyone? I'll mention Too Raw real quick because I know you guys are fans of Too Raw as well. I like that Too Raw said something that I agree with, that Draymond is acting like this because you've never punished him. And I said something to this effect back when he got ejected in the Cavs game, and he said, I'm just being Draymond. I'm good at being Draymond. And, you know, I called it the fear of spanking the child, the parent who's afraid of being a disciplinarian. And you got all these brats running around now. How do you expect anyone's behavior to improve if there are no consequences? And with that, let's listen to Greeny for as long as I can before I throw up on myself. Oh, it's J. Will and Greeny. God damn, that's not going to be good.
I agree, and I understand that they have to do it and why they have to do it. This is great. It is great for basketball. This is the middle of November.
And stop. This is exactly what I'm talking about when you condone behavior while pretending to criticize behavior.
And please do not misunderstand.
How could we ever misunderstand you? You said you don't want to see this and that it's great for basketball.
I don't want to see athletes putting other athletes in chokeholds and all of that. He deserves to be suspended, and significantly. But the genuine dislike that exists between these two teams, these rivals, and others in the league is healthy for a sport, and candidly, any sport that could use a little.
I think it's a valid point, Greeny. And by the way,
the league needs this. This is good for the league. You just said you don't want to see it, and it's good for the league. Now you got to spend the rest of the show spewing out a bunch of words to try and make sense of your nonsensical bullshit. And it just occurred to me that he said the league needs this. Is he referring to ratings? Is he referring to the manner that the league is suffering in that regard? So now you're going to encourage brawls, you're going to encourage this childish behavior. Maybe you need to tune in to why viewership is down in the first place, not turn it into a reality TV show any more than it already has become. Now, you may not agree with me yet, but listen to these guys dig themselves deeper into the hole. They provide me with all the evidence that I need. Let's continue listening.
they played last game, and Anthony Edwards and Draymond were chirping at each other back and forth. This is the second game in 3 games in which Draymond's been suspended. So now this storyline gives you something to pay attention to as relates to the Golden State Warriors. When Steph comes back, Klay's kind of been a shell of himself this season, to see them go against the Minnesota Timberwolves.
So they're building toward a justification that this is creating a rivalry or strengthening a rivalry. I think they actually pretend that there is a rivalry between these two teams. When did that begin? When? When some people tweeted shit at each other? People talking shit is nonstop, and this pussy-ass tweeting, talking shit from afar is disgusting. But to then use that as a basis for a rivalry between teams? No. The rivalry should be based upon two teams colliding in the playoffs year after year and one not quite being able to get past the next one. Not, oh, they exchanged words.
No one wants to see players putting other players in chokeholds, but the idea that we have a little healthy animus in the sport, I think, is actually healthy.
Healthy animus in the sport is healthy. There's that slew of bullshit words trying to cover up bullshit with more bullshit. It's tweeting. It's men acting like children and then acting like children on the court, and you're calling it healthy. So you have the players setting a bad example for anyone who's watching, and then we have you setting a bad example for anyone who's listening. Now, my case is only mildly strong right now, but here comes Jay Will saying some stupid garbage that put me over the line of just blowing this off and feeling like I needed to come online and pray to God that someone listens and understands that getting a blessing from these two morons doesn't make what you just saw okay. Let's listen.
But I gotta tell you, that's my kind of teammate. If I'm scrapping with somebody, Greeny, and somebody puts their hands on me, I want my teammate to come out of nowhere to put somebody in a chokehold.
We talked about
two things. One is the phrase "put hands on." We'll get to that. Two is come out of nowhere to protect me. Draymond targeted the guy who was trying to break the fight up. He didn't target the guy that Clay was actually fighting with. Don't act like this was some sort of virtuous moment by Draymond protecting Clay. But more important to me is the new thing we've got going on in society, or maybe it's always been going on, but you come up with a new term and a new phrase, and now you said something deep. Now you said something philosophical, and he put hands on. He put hands on my brother. He put hands on my teammate. These guys have been putting their hands on each other the whole game. And this reminds me of the Chris Paul video I did when I got disgusted that Chris Paul started talking shit to a 12-year-old once he saw that it was a little tiny 12-year-old boy. And the excuse was that someone might have put hands on his mom. And our imaginations are supposed to jump toward someone beating the crap out of his mom. We will analyze exactly what Gobert did and see if it was aggressive behavior or peacemaking behavior or somewhere neutral. But really, no matter what conclusion you come up with, where do you draw the line? Because Draymond choke holding Gobert by the same argument that Jay Will just provided, then a TWolf should come and knock the shit out of Draymond from behind, because you got to have your teammates back, right? If we follow that pattern, we're back to the malice at the palace, where everybody's behavior is justified because they're heated and it's emotional and you got to have your teammates' backs. And shit, you know what? Let's throw in the loyalty of the fans. If the fans are truly fans, they should storm the court and they should have their players' backs. Laying hands on. You know, it goes up there with all this other crap that we're hearing in the NBA, like contusion. Contusion is a new word for a bruise or a bump or a minor discomfort. Laceration, as LeBron James has now. You mean a fucking scrape? Stop using these other words to play tricks on the weak-minded audience to make something be something that it isn't. Speaking of lay hands on, let's jump to Steve Kerr, because I think Steve Kerr might be the most disappointing. I think some of us wanted to think highly of Steve Kerr, at least in the past, and his take on this is pretty bad.
And then the Draymond piece of it, if you watch the replay, Rudy had his hands on Clay's neck, and that's why Draymond went after Rudy. And I saw one replay right after it happened.
I'm still waiting to see that replay angle, because as of now, I have not found anything that shows Gobert's hands on Clay's neck, especially the way that Steve Kerr demonstrated there with his hands. At least he stopped short of saying laid hands on. But Kerr, if you didn't see it, don't say that you saw it.
And that's why Draymond went after Rudy.
Really, Steve? That's why Draymond went after Rudy? Because Draymond could see that from where Draymond was flying in from? Are you sure it's not because of the pissing fight that these two are having on Twitter? Because that's what everyone else is saying this is about. Draymond looking for an opportunity. But, you know, you talk about people not punishing or not holding players accountable. I mean, Steve Kerr's not even willing to hold Draymond accountable. Ugh.
The guys on the back of the bench were telling us that Rudy had Draymond or had Clay, and that's why Draymond went at Rudy. So that's all I know.
That's all you know. What people behind you said was happening? Because you just finished telling us if we watch the replay, you can see hands on Clay's throat. Don't blame the people behind you, and don't make shit up. Speaking of making shit up, he also made this up.
There's no way Klay Thompson should have been thrown out of the game. I mean, he's running up the floor, and the guy grabs his jersey, and he's pulling on him, and so Klay pulls back, and no way Klay should have been ejected. That was ridiculous.
Hey, I understand that it was hard to see from your angle, and you probably weren't even watching when it happened live, but don't come to the press conference and pretend that you saw it clearly, because here's what happened. Because that's Clay's arm reaching out. That's Clay's fist closing on the other guy's jersey. And none of us know what's happening with that arm wrestling right there, who has hold of who, but they obviously both have hold of each other and try to get into a strength battle. So at that point, maybe you toss them both. Maybe you don't toss either of them, but you don't act like Klay got grabbed out of nowhere while he was trying to run up the court. Maybe you could say that McDaniel had hold of Klay as a retaliation of Klay having a hold of him. Maybe McDaniel could have let go sooner, but by the time it's clear they both have hold of each other again, I don't know how you're going to say that one is guilty and the other one isn't here. But you know what? Go change your jersey and keep playing, which they could have possibly done if Draymond hadn't flown in and just sent this to another dimension. You know what I heard a lot of people saying today is that no punches were thrown, and that's a good thing. Well, you know what? Draymond's reaction was as if elbows, knees, and punches were being thrown. There's a very good chance that this could have fizzled out without Draymond going in there like that. And that's why it disgusts me to hear Will and Keyshawn and Sherman, these guys all applied their own set of rules that they came up with about how a fight should go down and what the rules of a fight are and why what Draymond did is allowed based upon their bullshit rules.
Now, Draymond, obviously, from a distance, is looking at Rudy Gobert put his hands on his teammate.
There it is. Congratulations, Keyshawn, you fucking bitch. Regurgitating new phrases as if these guys don't put their hands on each other all game, as if putting hands on is some unspeakable evil, as if putting hands on means the same thing as punching someone in the face.
I'm 100% with the enforcer.
Yeah.
He's my enforcer in Draymond Green.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 100% with protecting my players on my team.
Protecting my ass. There's no protection here. It's almost over with. Protecting against the guy who cried on national television.
Sorry.
It's very emotional about this one, guys.
That tells you a lot by itself, doesn't it? I don't want to hear their voices again, but I'll tell you some of the other stuff that they said, that you have to, in that moment, go and pull your teammate back, not touch the other teammate. Okay, if you guys say so. If you guys say so, I bet you followed those rules strictly and clearly throughout your careers. Or did you ever actually back up a teammate? I don't know. I'm not going to spend the time to go and look. All I know is that these guys get tougher and tougher and tougher the longer they're away from the game. Like Mark Jackson, for example, talking more shit from behind a desk than ever. And we wonder why there's a bad influence.
You pull your own guy away like CP3 did. What is...
Break this down physically. Gobert was right next to Clay. His teammate was already getting pulled off, and there's a ref in between them, which means, according to Keyshawn, Gobert was supposed to somehow do was appear on the other side, hit the ref out of the way, I guess. You know, my point is that that side of it was already getting taken care of, and Gobert puts his arm about as carefully as you can in the middle of a scrap around Clay's waist. And it's Clay who comes fighting up through the other side that ends up putting his head near Gobert's other arm, making it maybe for a fraction of a second look like there was contact in the head area. Certainly nothing like Steve Kerr motioning with two hands going around someone's throat. I mean, you're making shit up. I think it's worth noting how Gobert is keeping his torso away from Clay's torso and just kind of reaching out with the arms. Someone who's out of control or angry will come slamming in with the full body. If Gobert was wrong, fine, but make your point without lying. I don't have any stock in Gobert. I couldn't care if he never played another NBA game. I'm just sick of the fucking bullshit that I know all these younger generations are gobbling up and can't wait to use as an excuse to go act like punk-ass bitches when they're playing pickup ball or down the hallway at school or whatever. All these new rules about what being disrespected qualifies as, according to dipshits on television.
Who putting his hands on my teammate?
Right.
I'm not...
Hey, Keyshawn, did she lay hands on you? Is that what happened? Hey, Richard Sherman, is that what happened in your case too? Hey, let's give this guy a job on television and have him tell people how they should behave. No, you know what? I'm not going to do this. I didn't see it. I didn't see domestic violence. So I'm not going to do this laid hands on bullshit or talk about something I didn't see. But maybe, just maybe, Sherman pictures himself as a Draymond because he sure wasn't very likable.
Well, I'm the best corner in the game. When you try me with a sorry receiver like Crabtree, that's the result you're going to get. Don't you ever talk about me. Bye-bye.
Maybe he's mad that his teammates didn't have his back after he got punched in the face. Oh shit, that dude touched you from behind and it wasn't even your own teammate. Where's Draymond to enforce your official fighting rules? Damn, you gotta suck as a teammate for no one to come help you out in that situation. How's this allowed according to their don't lay hands on the other team rule? Fucking touch my head.
Who putting his hands on my teammate?
Right.
I'm not...
Keyshawn, it says you knocked the phone out of her hand, but maybe I should say you laid hands on her. How's that feel?
Who putting his hands on my teammate?
Right.
I'm not...
Keyshawn laid hands on her. Now everybody can imagine the most evil thing possible.
But in that situation, I got my dog with me. He's going to do it for me. Therefore, I can now go my own way and allow him to step in and lead the charge.
What? What kind of pussy-ass bullshit was that? I'm picturing all the punk-ass kids at home listening to your bullshit going, oh yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I'm going to apply that rule. Those are the official rules of fighting according to Keyshawn and Richard Sherman. Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp, no thank you. I hit my saturation point with the sound of both of their voices last year. I can't imagine that they had creative takes on it anyway. What's commendable about continuing to drag someone by the throat who has their hands up in the air in the signs of, hey, I'm not fighting? This is Draymond getting his jollies and feeling tough when picking on the least likely guy to fight back. Why is it that every guy out there is using their arms to create separation or grab somewhere lower than the head, except for Draymond? Is there not any other technique Draymond could use? Is there no other technique that Draymond could use in this scenario? If you want to justify coming to your teammate's defense, I mean, look, what? Honestly, Gobert is reaching out with his arms in a careful manner. He didn't attack Clay. Nothing here warranted this full-on just explosion from Draymond. Even if you want to go down this path of don't touch my teammate, stop. Stop it. Fine, then pull him away or stick your hands in between the two of them. This fucking headlock from behind and then drag him all the way to the baseline bullshit. The fact that people are defending this, well, it helps explain why we are where we are. Maybe some of you want to make fun of Gobert for throwing his hands up like that. Maybe you want to make fun of him for being a pussy. Or maybe some of you think, okay, he did the right thing. Don't escalate it further. If you don't fight back to Draymond, maybe he'll let go. Draymond chose not to let go. Where do you draw the line? When are you going to credit someone for being the bigger man? Maybe he was being the bigger man. Maybe he was just scared to death. Don't know which one it is. But what are you rooting for? Do you want to see the violence continue? Because I think some part of all of us does. But we got to understand that the game's going to just spiral even further down this dark path it's on. Stop telling the people at home that what Draymond did was good, but also bad, but really actually good.